or certain cities are accepting. It doesn't mean the rest of the country or the rest of the world is more understanding.
And Section 28 remains a big irritant to you, the law which forbids local authorities from intentionally promoting homosexuality or publishing material with the intention of promoting homosexuality.
Well, I just don't buy that whole kind of promoting it. Why would you promote it?
So you wanted, but you're fighting to have it repealed.
I think Section 28 is just paranoia, you know. Not everyone who reads the Bible becomes a Christian.
There have been no prosecutions under it, have there?
I don't know if there have, but that doesn't matter. There could be.
And the government is committed to removing it. I mean, they've said.
They've said a lot of things.
Firmly committed to scrapping Section 28. It's currently considering options over how to scrap the clause.
So why haven't they done it then?
In due course.
Why haven't they done it?
Waiting for a break in parliamentary business, so they say.
Really?
Does it still matter so much to you if it's just an anachronism and it's not used and there have been no prosecutions?
I think it does matter because I think it sends out a message to young gay kids that they are not part of the whole picture, that they don't belong, and that's the wrong message.
You don't think
as far as we know, 1 in 10 are born homosexual. That is supposed to be a well-known fact. So if that's the case, that's a lot of people out there who are being denied equality, and I think that's really important.
Doesn't it make too much, though, out of someone's sexuality? I mean, you say it's such a small part of the big picture, sexuality.
Absolutely, but, you know...
When I go to buy a loaf of bread at Sainsbury's, my sexuality is the last thing I'm thinking about. By harping on about Section 28, doesn't it make sexuality more important than it actually is?
Well, you would say that, wouldn't you, because you're part of the majority. You're a heterosexual, so of course you're going to say that. You know, everything around you, have so many cultural pointers. Everything in this world accommodates you. So of course you're going to say something like that. You turn on the radio and all the songs you hear about straight love. You turn on the telly, everything you see is about heterosexuality. So yes, it does matter. It matters a big lot to me. Absolutely.
So even when you are going to Sainsbury's, it is a daily irritant for you?
It's not a daily irritant, you know. You're making it sound like, you know, like I'm wandering around paranoid about being gay. I mean, you know, I have no problem with my sexuality in that respect. I like being gay. You know, I've always felt that it was my calling. You know, like some people are called to be priests. I think it was my calling to be a homosexual. I think it was a very natural thing for me to be. But my honest view of it is that we're all everything anyway. We're all as straight as we are gay. As the older I get, the more I believe that. And experience has definitely taught me that. I have plenty of ex-partners who are now married with children. So what are they now then?
Have you found a bit more happiness now than you had as a child? You're a bit happier? I mean, you talked a bit about school and the terrible times there.
I think definitely I'm a happier person now that I'm older. You know, I spent most of my teenage life wanting to be old so that I could leave home and be free to do what I wanted to do.
And wanting to have a decent relationship with your father as well. You talked quite a bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I have a difficult relationship with my father, but I love him. Don't always like him, but I love him.
You wanted more affection than he could give, didn't you? To a certain extent.
I think my father's an unusual man because, you know, he's a very charitable man. You know, he would always, like, if somebody's roof was broken, he'd always go and fix it for them at any time of the night. You know, he's always helping everybody out. He always had these...
But not you.
But not us. Which is that generation, fathers of that generation, we're very like that. When I sit and talk to a lot of my friends, they say, you know, after reading my book, it just reminds them of their own childhood. And I think that is what created this kind of family of freaks that centred, you know, in central London in these clubs, you know, people like C. Strange or Lee Barry or myself or Marilyn, is that we have very similar backgrounds. Either, you know, the
But you
homes.
picked yourself up and started again, and they didn't.
Well, I mean, that is one of the great things that I got from my parents, is the kind of grafting thing, you know, because when we were kids, we were made to work. When I got kicked out of school at 15, my mother marched me back to school and said, "Are you going to work if you come back here?" And I said, "No, I'm not. I don't want to be here." She said, "Right, we're leaving." And the next day I was at the job centre. And, you know, I walked out of jobs on a weekly basis because I hated authority. You know, having grown up with a father that was explosive and then going to school, being picked on by kids and teachers, then going to work where people talk to you like you're an idiot, the only option to me was self-employment. So rock and roll was my revenge on all that, really.
And Culture Club's back together again?
Well,
what's the difference this time around?
Well, we were back together again. We did 3 years of sort of nostalgia tours, and then I kind of got bored of it. And we're currently not together, but it's a bit of a kind of an ongoing soap opera, really, Culture Club. What was it like the second time round?
Yes.
That was your question. It was occasionally fun and occasionally torture.
But you remember the good times. You don't think much of the current music scene, though, do you? What did you call it? The revenge of the stage school brat?
Absolutely.
That bad?
And the stylist and the choreographer. Well, I just think that there's a sort of arrogance that is very unappealing to me. You know, because young bands, they're almost... You see their first appearance on Top of the Pops and they've got that look already that they're going to be stars.
They expect it.
There's no vulnerability or nervousness. It's all like, sort of, yeah, I'm going to make it. And we were
Don't you admire that in a way?
No, not at all. Not at all. I admire vulnerability. I think the greatest artists in the world are people that are vulnerable and human, not robots. I mean, I think a lot of the current pop stars, it's like alienation. They're taught to dance, they're taught to interview, they're taught to, you know, dress. That's not why I became a musician. I became a musician because I loved people like David Bowie, who, you know, were spectacular and flamboyant and interesting and had new things to say and had a sexual agenda, a political agenda. I mean, he changed society. He changed my world as a kid.
Boy George, it's been a great pleasure having you on the programme. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.